Did you see that the New York State has released 75% of all the testing questions, the Common Core questions? 75% of them have been released for people to review and go over and look at. It'll be interesting to see what everybody thinks of all the questions. But there tend to be some crazy questions out there. How about the middle school teacher in Alabama? In trouble because she gave an offensive math test to her students right before she was supposed to retire. All the questions were about pimps and gang members. Yeah. Here is a reporter speaking about the whole issue. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is middle school, by the way, so these are like 7th graders.
And why did she do this? I mean, did she think she was making the test interesting?
Here's a student from the woman's class who took the test along with 2 parents of other students. Yeah, I guess I don't know what
I think she's better off.
What inspires people, but why do I think though that you could have gotten away with that 25 years ago? I do think it. I'm not sure that any teacher would pull that off, but the stuff that you were able to do years ago that you cannot do today, it's like you do something today and everybody's up in arms. Not that I'm supporting this and all. I'd probably, if my kid was in that class, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I probably would have a problem with it as well.
You would be freaking
sure,
out.
I would have a problem with that.
I
but
think
at the end of the day, you just, what are you thinking?
I think she should plead temporary insanity.
Yeah, she was excited about her retirement. Here's a story about a woman who tried to walk. Listen, you see this. If you go up into Old Forge, there's no secret here. You go up into the Old Forge, the deer have been trained to come up to your car or come up to you, and you can feed them, which is, by the way, illegal in New York State. But there's a reason why it is, because they're still wild animals, and you don't think of deer as being a wild animal, but the deer, in the sense of like a bear is a wild animal, right? It's a completely different deal. But in this case, deer can attack, and so can elk. A woman tried to walk up to an elk in Yellowstone Park on Sunday so she could get a picture with it, a selfie, and it did not turn out very well. It charged her and knocked her about 10 feet through the air. A tour guide caught the whole thing on video. Jody Tibbetts, according to his Facebook page, caught the whole thing, put it up on his Facebook page. And, by the way, the woman is okay, but was thrown 20 feet, about 10 to 15 feet in the air is what it was.
Up and walked away.
Got up and walked away.
Yeah.
Could have killed her, though.
So just quickly, we had a caller who said the question about the pimps and the crack, apparently that was like a Facebook post someone had made. He thinks that's where the teacher got it. But it was circulating as a joke, and he thinks she ripped it right off the internet.
That's funny. I got to tell you that I thought the caller called in to say 37. I just did the problem. 37. And how about this story in North Carolina? A woman bought a deep freezer at a yard sale, got it all home, excited, ready to plug it in. And what did she find inside?
But this is, no, there's more to this story.
I'm just saying she found a body inside. The seller had told her not to open it because a church was coming to get something out for a time capsule project. The woman bought this story for 3 weeks and then finally opened the freezer and found a body inside. You think there's more to the story?
Well, and the body was that of the mother of the woman who told her, wait, don't open it yet. There's so much more to this story.
Yeah, well, we'll be finding out. And if you're getting ready to take the kids swimming or go swimming yourself or the grandkids or whatever, oh, it's all nice, especially when you go to the public pools. However, the CDC did a study and found that 80% of all swimming locations, public locations, end up with at least one violation when inspected. And some of those violations are, let's just say, not too much. You know, a violation could be using too much chlorine, and which would not be safe either. But that is not the whole problem here. On the line right now is Tricia Holderman, and she is a germ expert. What should we be taking out of this study there, Tricia?
This is called personal responsibility. You should be taking care of yourself so that you are safe when you get into the water, because the water may be safe at 8 o'clock in the morning, but by 11 o'clock with all the kids in it, maybe not so much.
And especially these, I see this stuff. We were in North Carolina or South Carolina last year, Myrtle Beach, and there was they had the lazy river. And everybody came home, and my friend who we went down with, him and his wife, he came home with this sore on his stomach, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. He had flu-like symptoms, came here and they had no idea what it was. Some sort of a parasite or what it could be anything, right?
Could be. There are more and more of these germs in the water that the chemicals are just not able to kill. And it used to be that, there were a few chemicals that we put in, it would zap just everything in the water. But now there are, it's just like the antibiotics with drugs on sick people. The germs keep getting hardier and hardier, and so the chemicals that we're used to using are not as effective as they could be. And there is one, the crypto, can literally last for several days in the water.
I do whenever at our pool, when you have a bunch of kids over, the next day I always shock it.
Yeah, I have a pool as well, and I'm pretty fanatical about just adding a little bit of extra chemicals because I know I'm not going to get in it that day. Then you're right, you do go ahead and do that.
Don't open your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and we do suggest that. With people who don't have great immune systems, we do suggest that you actually wear, the earplugs, the no plugs, the goggles, the things like that don't allow the germs to get in. Plus, that little liquid Band-Aid goo stuff that you can put on any open wounds that you have also keeps the germs out of those areas, which are the most susceptible to getting the germs.
I think back when we as kids would go into these pools, and I guess you didn't hear a lot about this stuff, but there's 150 kids in a public pool. Some of them are babies, and they're in with their diapers. There's feces and urine and all that stuff. And that they did find that in many of the public pools, right?
And especially in the kiddie pools. And what we're suggesting to parents is if you have your little kid in there with the diaper on, you need to pull them out every hour and put another one on because they really start losing their effectiveness very quickly in there.
All right. So you can, beyond just not swimming in the public pools, there are things you can do to protect yourself. But if you have like an open sore or something, you might not want to go in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. And I'll tell one other quick story. My son just came back from Mexico, and they had a huge thunderstorm go through, and there was flooded waters all over. And they're riding on one of those, the guy, what's the rickshaw? What are those?
The bicycles.
The bicycle type thing.
Tricycles.
But the water's coming up, and clearly in Mexico you're talking about polluted waters. And he came home, and sure enough, he came home with some sort of a parasite, and it's terrible and difficult to get rid of.
Yes, they are. And again, that's what you call personal responsibility. You just got to take every precaution that you can to keep yourself safe at this point. Because you had too many people in one place, you can't regulate all of those people.
Then I'm going to yell at him. Good thing. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Tricia.
Thank you.
All right. It's bad. And I think these parasites or whatever these things are worse today for some reason. And I think you got to, and I can't even think about the public pools. One other story, the same son, we went to Disney when they were like 3 or 4 years old. And my son had a problem with motion sickness. And apparently motion is walking from the hotel room to the pool area. And it was at one of the resorts, and the water was only like 3 inches deep. It was for little kids, and it was warm, and it was beautiful. It was sandy. It was one of those pools that actually has sand in it. And my son got in there within about a minute, threw up all over the in the pool. And I just picked him up, and we quietly walked away, and the Disney people closed down the pool. It's a quick way to close the pool down. Got a break. Hold on tight. We'll do a free money question of the day from Hobica. Coming up next hour, WIBX Utica Rome. It's 8 o'clock.